Strangest Formula One season in the strangest year has come to an end. Lewis Hamilton was so good, the competition was just really below him this year. But nonetheless, the year was full of action, interest, and intrigue. This is my rundown of the standout aspects of F1 in 2020, a season full of surprises, incidents and dramas. Hamilton had an exceptional season, and his dominance made the running at the front more predictable than F1 fans would have liked. The Mercedes driver won 11 16 races he took part in. Incredibly, that is underplaying how dominant he really was. Hamilton was denied two certain victories by incurring penalties at Monza and Russia, and he may not have been back at his fighting best in Abu Dhabi for the season finale after contracting COVID-19 and missing the second Bahrain race. Given that Hamilton won 13 of 15 races he was properly able to compete in, it was an astonishing level of superiority, with Hamilton on a different level to every other team in terms of car performance. Many of Hamilton's wins came from pole position, but even when he was not on pole, he could fight back and pass teammate Valtteri Bottas on track, which he did at Nürburgring and Portimao. His best drive was undoubtedly his championship clinching win in Turkey. This was surely one of the best career wins on a weekend when Mercedes were not at their dominant best, becoming statistically the best driver in history after matching Michael Schumacher's 7 titles and beating his 91 wins in a really phenomenal season. Excellent as Hamilton was though, separating his performances and those of Red Bull's Max Verstappen was as hard as it was last year. Verstappen will be an F1 champion in the future, he just needs the tools to be able to do it, and arguably needs Hamilton to retire for that. Once again, the Dutchman has driven an exemplary season, taking 2 wins and only making one major mistake all year, a 360-degree spin at Turkey costing him a chance of victory. It was the only race he completed outside the podium this season. In fact, Verstappen was very unlucky not to finish second in the standings, splitting the drivers into fast Mercedes. He had too many mechanical retirements, which was the cost for a huge haul of points. For the second season in a row, his teammate was a complete mismatch. Albon failed to get within 3/10 of Verstappen in any 2020 session. Red Bull were effectively a one-car team, with Verstappen demonstrating what a well-beaten driver can do. All in all, there was little to choose between Hamilton and Verstappen in terms of what they awarded this year, given their machinery. They were brilliant seasons for other team leaders as well, though. Charles Leclerc was outstanding for Ferrari, almost trebling the points of teammate Sebastian Vettel, who, let's not forget, is a 4-time world champion, and delivering some exquisite qualifying laps and measured race performances, culminating in 2 podiums in a Ferrari that didn't deserve to be where it was. Were it for not crashes with teammate in Austria and Sergio Perez in Sakhir, I'd put Leclerc in the top bracket with Hamilton and Verstappen. He clearly deserves to be in a car that can compete for wins because he's good enough. Honourable mentions have to go to Sergio Perez and Daniel Ricciardo. Both emerged as major players in a tight midfield battle and a fight for 4th in the standings. Perez was fighting for a 2021 seat, which of course he's now got at Red Bull, and a win in a 2nd place meant he claimed 4th in the championship. Ricciardo didn't have the highs of Perez, but he outperformed Ocon, who is one of the highly rated youngsters in F1. He outqualified Ocon in every dry qualifying until the last lap of the season and was completely up the road in races compared to him. Shock wins are the sort of thing that typically happen once in a decade for F1. Pastor Maldonado winning the 2012 Spanish Grand Prix, and Vettel Monza in 2008 spring to mind, but with the craziness for 2022 came along at once. The first was Pierre Gasly at the Italian Grand Prix, only the 2nd ever win for the team formerly known as Toro Rosso. The victory came from a Mercedes blunder as they told Hamilton to stop the tyres from a pit lane. They incurred a champion which the champion couldn't recover for. Another Mercedes blunder was the source of the other surprise of the season, as a botched pit stop cost the team a certain 1-2 finish, and Sergio Perez took victory in a thrilling race, coming from last to first on lap 1, passing numerous cars throughout the field and capitalising on a bad day for the contenders. It wasn't only a season for shock victories though. Incredibly, all top 13 drivers in the championship stood on the podium, and even 14th place Daniel Kvyat came close, finishing 4th in Imola. The last time this happened was in 2012. In the past decade, there have typically been about 8 different podium finishes in the season. This just illustrates how wide open the championship has been this year behind the dominant Mercedes and Verstappen. As soon as they hit problems, there was always going to be a face on the podium that was new. It was also down to the struggles of Albon in the other Red Bull and the demise of Ferrari, who traditionally would be blocking out those paces on the podium, but they were reduced to scrapping in the midfields this season as well. A year in which the pandemic forced the calendar to be fluid gave a chance to have Grand Prix in countries that normally couldn't dream of affording them at a circuit that otherwise certainly merit a spot. The return of Nürburgring, Imola and Istanbul, mixed with the debut of Mugello and Portimao, provided a lot of unknowns and surprises. Having new circuits on the calendar is usually interesting, but the major benefit of those, aside from Turkey, was they weren't specifically designed to host Formula F1, so aren't built with gigantic runoff areas and the same design mould of huge straights and big braking zones. This meant that rather than having the soulless atmosphere of many modern circuits, they were good old-fashioned circuits with jeopardy, which made them a lot more exciting. The string of accidents in Mugello, Verstappen being stuck in the gravel in Imola, or Russell hitting the wall under the safety car there, are all things that wouldn't happen at a normal circuit. Adding that, two of the best tracks were in wet races, a slippery Istanbul and the untested Bahrain outer loop that provided one of the best races of the season, with Abu Dhabi, Sochi and Barcelona providing relatively little action as usual. Returning to some old school circuits was a kind of grand experiment, and it worked a treat. Getting a season off the ground at all in 2020 was a tricky task for such a global sport. When coronavirus hit, the calendar had to be completely abandoned, and it almost had to be totally drawn up from scratch. Numbers were cut, bubbles were formed, and extremely protocol had to be created to ensure the championship could get 17 races with more than 1,300 people on the F1 circuits. There were a few coronavirus cases, most notably Lewis Hamilton, Lance Stroll and Sergio Perez, but the fact F1 circus managed to continue without any further interruption is credit to the measures put in place. The season itself wasn't the thriller that had been hoped for in terms of championship battle, but beyond that it's just been incredible. Some incredible moments as well. Hamilton winning the British Grand Prix on 3 wheels, Romain Grosjean stepping out of a fire, Russell looking top class when he ran in race winning machineries. Those moments, along with Hamilton becoming the greatest F1 driver of all time, will live long in the memory. But anyway guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and follow me on Twitter, link in the description below for daily F1 news, and subscribe to my other channels on the screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, peace.